10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Good luck, studio.
Oh, it's that time again. Paul Chandler's gonna start this whole thing he does. It's called the Shylock Podcast. It's probably gonna start any minute now. Anyway, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, sit back and relax.
Oh, it's the Shylock Podcast.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
It's the quiet ones you've got to watch, you know.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep? Is it deep?
I'm gonna play. He said all that guy is right.
Blimey, Governor. It's the Shy Life Podcast.
Excellent.
524. 544.
Hello. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How you doing? Oh, I'm all right. We've got a special guest. Oh, we may even have two special guests, hopefully. But yes, Nick is here for the start of the episode, and he'll be here for the rest of the episode.
This is the second special guest.
No, well, if our other, we won't announce our special guest yet, in case something happens. But in which case, you may have to pretend to be him. But anyway, we've got an afternoon and evening ahead of us of TV watching, both films and TV series. And well, let's run the theme music. When we come back, we'll tell you a bit more. Run that theme music.
Okay, we are recording.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Yes, but it's a positive thing, Paul. A highlight, the Shylock.
You won't find a cast of characters like this everywhere.
Hello, Paul.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious.
Hello, Captors. How are you?
You quite like a big bang, don't you?
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. Do you think he has?
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to begin.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
Has the Shy Life Podcast slowed down? I don't think so.
It's all gooey and meaty and yum.
Has anyone seen my hot sausage?
So, yes, we are currently at, I was trying to think of a posh name of calling your house. We're at Nick's house.
Nick's house.
I should say Casa Goodman or something. I think, does Casa mean house? I don't know. Anyway, I'll give up. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about one, maybe two films. We'll see how it goes time-wise. We'll talk about those in a second. Then our special guest is coming around this evening, who has been on the show before. And we're going to do a little bit like what we've sometimes done, sometimes on Round the Archive, sometimes here, where there'll be three of us. So we're going to each get a chance to pick either two half-hour shows or a 50-minute show, and then we'll talk about it. And we're going to talk about the films as well, coming up in a moment. And yeah, we're just going to be having a general chat, and hopefully it'll lead to other we'll go off on a tangent about associated TV. But I've got a vague idea what I'm going to pick. Nick's been talking about some of his thoughts, and the special guest doesn't even know he is going to be asked to do this yet. So, but anyway, we're going to start with two films, though, or at least one of the two films. We'll see how it goes. And I've been lucky enough to be able to pick these. One of them is called Long Weekend. It's an Australian film from the 70s. Let me just check. The reason I brought these films over, Nick, is partly because until recently you didn't have your Blu-ray player set up, did you? Well, also because we weren't able to see each other either. That's partly one of it. So I have a number of Blu-rays I wanted to show you, but we partly weren't able to meet, and you didn't have the Blu-ray set up. It's from 77. Is Long Weekend. Their crime was against nature, and nature found them guilty. And the other film is called Alien 2. I think this is 1975. No, it's not. It's 1980.
I was going to say, if it was 1975, that was before the first.
Yeah, no, it's 1980. It's an Italian film. It's a film. Well, the Italians were known for, like, if Jaws was big, they'd try and do their own version of Jaws. Or in this case, Alien had been big, and they decided that they were going to jump in and do the sequel before the official sequel came out. So this is Alien 2. I was saying to Nick how it reminds me of season 2 of Space 1999. The main thing about it that works in its favour is that it's filmed in a proper cave system, so that they've got a ready-made backdrop for it. It is set mainly on Earth rather than being in space, because probably much too expensive to rip off space. Yeah. Anyway, well, Nick, out of those two, which would you like to start with?
Well, now let's. I quite like the sound of Long Weekend.
Yeah.
Let's give that a whirl first.
Yeah, we'll
the older of the two.
Yes.
Well, so.
Yes. Listeners, we're going to watch Long Weekend first, and then we'll come back and discuss what we thought of it. There will be Sutton Park clips probably coming up, but
in the middle of Long Weekend?
Not in the middle of it, no, but probably between Long Weekend or before our special guest arrives or something. But I don't know how much nattering this is going to generate. So Sutton Park is waiting on the
foot toe line.
Yes. So yes, let's watch Long Weekend. So, listeners, we've just watched Long Weekend. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. In actual fact, with some films you can superficially enjoy it and then think, right, yeah, they're going to do this or that, or it's going to be end up a bit tacky or unsatisfying. But no, I think they got it right on pretty well all levels. I think there was lots of ambiguity, quite a bit of irony. And it was a bit like, it had a sort of ecological message to it, but it wasn't. It was done in a nice atmospheric way. It wasn't sort of the one character didn't turn to the other and say, "Gosh, I wish we thought of this." We come in with this bit of people. Or something like that. It was.
Can't say too much, but they never got the chance to say that.
Exactly. But no, it was very cleverly done, I thought, and
there's lots of as you say,
parts where it could have disappointed, but it didn't, and there was very atmospheric scenes, and I'm sure there are people as destructive as that. What's interesting is you had two characters. You had just the two characters. Well,
pretty much
the two speaking characters anyway. And the interesting thing is they weren't heroes. They were sort of anti-heroes, which is interesting from a dramatic point of view, because it kind of sets them up as you don't particularly want them to come out of this smelling of roses. But you want to see what happens anyway, and it was neat. It could have been that sort of thing could have been very tacky, but it was really nicely and some nice frightening sequences as well.
And there's one of my favourite bits are the weird unexplained things like finding a tent in the woods with a dog in it. That it's never explained.
Also, there's moments of tension because you think there's a particularly effective imagery as a child sets up a picnic. We assume it's a child because it's very small.
Yeah, and there's a body found in a van that's been submerged, and there's no find out what that's about. But that's not a bad thing. It just makes you think. You just kind of more questions.
Something.
Puts you
bad stuff's going on here, and we don't know four things. So that's and very nicely shot. Music just about right, because it allowed some very eerie sound effects, which allowed it to come. I imagine it was quite a small budget one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was released in 78, but it was made in 77.
It's quite it's quite a lot of suggestion as well, which is good. Always, suggestion is always a good dramatic thing. So
the couple's relationships falling apart as well, and you find out more about why that's happened as you're going along.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to write it as a synopsis, then it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense or come across with. But as an atmospheric piece of movie, it worked a treat. Yeah, thumbs up.
I first saw it in 2019. Well, that's when I bought that disc. So it's been about 3 years since I last saw it. But I think I probably heard it being discussed on. I've heard it discussed on a podcast, or I do have a. I think I have a DVD or some extra on some DVD I have, where it was like famous sort of horror or sort of alternate films from Australia, this Australian film industry, and then maybe I saw a trailer, or maybe I saw it mentioned in the documentary, and thought, "Oh, this looks like my cup of tea."
Also, I mean, I think the way it stayed credible throughout is that all the threats they weren't too fantastical. They all kind of came from sort of natural accidents or natural kind of things, and that we don't know. It was left ambiguous as to what caused them. On another film, you might think, "Oh, that dents the credibility of it," but then it comes back, and also nice twist on the usual. I'd say it was a sort of mild horror film, but what was quite nice is the usual thing in horror films is that you have the randy teenagers. Well, these guys weren't teenagers, of course, but they were actually rather far from getting it on. They've actually had some problems in the bedroom department, which kind of you don't usually get. You usually kind of have they were getting on, but they're not actually getting on, which helps the tension as well. Because
I find Australian films, you can rely on them not to go down the obvious routes, which is why they're so good.
they did good, very very good indeed.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it the first time. I enjoyed it even more this time. And I think it's one of those films I end up watching. With me, there's certain films that I get to the point where I've got one or two films now I always watch around Christmas. I already had Black Christmas, which is a sort of Christmas slasher film. But there's one called Symptoms, which is just very autumnal, and that's about a woman losing a grip on reality. And there's another one by Robert Altman called Images, about another woman who's losing. I just like when women start to lose, But yeah, they're both autumnal films, and I've started watching them around Christmas time, and they're sort of ones that have my like of them has been sort of rolling, so that I watched them once and I thought, oh, I like, what was that again? And then now it's a yearly thing, and I can see that this is one I should definitely come back to, even again and again. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did, yes.
So we've just watched the film Alien 2, which is an Italian...
Alien 2 on Earth.
On Earth, yes. An Italian film that was trying to get in and be the sequel to Alien, even though it has nothing to do with it whatsoever. And the monsters are nothing like the monsters in Alien. But it's a favourite of mine because it's quite tacky. But the location in the caves is good, and there's some it's fun. What did you think, Nick?
Not bad. I preferred the weekend, the long weekend. I think there's a little bit more subtle. But no, we're not talking subtle because of the Italians. I think the highlight for me was, as you quite rightly said, the location work in a real cave, because it really gave it that biting edge, which we've sort of recreated the I believe the spaceship, because although I've not seen Alien, and I've heard so much about it and plot and monsters and everything that I almost feel I know it. But it was certainly shocking from that point of view. It has some quite gruesome moments, but then Italian horror films always do. The clues in the title, guys, horror. I suppose script-wise, perhaps a teeny bit disappointing. It starts out almost like just a normal mundane sort of thing because it's set on Earth, and it's only when you get into the caves that things start hotting up. And also nice from my point of view is the inclusion of Belinda Main, actress Belinda Main, who appeared in. Was the daughter of the famous film, famous film and TV baddie Ferdy Main, and she played the titular character in Delta and the Bannerman. She was a titular character in this, but her name wasn't in the title, but she was a titular character. She was nice. Again, a bit of a kooky character because she suddenly got telepathic halfway through.
Yeah.
There's some genuinely shocking moments, but it's slightly sloppy script for me. I kind of... The end was probably... I won't tell you what it is, of course, but the end was good, but it didn't quite glue together for me because of the time factor with some of the events that happened, and as they're sort of... I can't say much more, can I? Because I want to see it.
Just say the aliens got very busy. From the looks of it.
There was a comment that you read that it was similar to, in the monster-wise, it was similar to a Series 2 Space 1999, particularly The Bring Us a Wonder. And also there's also one, all that glisters is, it was in another Space 1999 episode, there was a certain prop. Again, I won't say too much, but that was quite a similar thing to that. So, but the caves were absolutely stunning, and the direction in the caves was first class. That put it above, I think, your average sort of rip-off movie. But I think I think what they were. Yeah, they were. I think the kind of things that the monster did, I think, were what we were getting at. But there was also, although Jaws was sort of 5 years ago when this was made, there was the sort of shadow of Jaws still hangs heavy because they had some Jaws heartbeaty sound effect. And a sequence at the beginning which you almost feel could have, insert shark here, apart from the alien. But no, it was fun. It was 85 minutes of gory fun, and it wasn't, in many ways, apart from the atmosphere and what the aliens do. It wasn't really. As you quite right, it wasn't really Aliens. I think they should have called it something else. I think to say Aliens 2, because it would.
Yeah, but that's not what the Italians do. They want to.
It would presume that it was sort of shoulder to shoulder with the original. But it's interesting though, because when Aliens did make an Alien sequel. They called it Aliens rather than Alien 2. I don't know whether that was just or they'd even heard of Alien 2.
Alien 2 has more than one alien anyway, so it's not just...
they come together, the cheeky fellas.
There's a few of them, whereas the Aliens has more than one as well. But I'm very proud that you saw Alien 2 before you've ever seen Alien or Aliens or any of the Alien films.
I mean, I've never really got round to watching it, and yet I remember reading a Sunday paper in 1979, just before it came out, all about Giger?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
They say Giger. The H.R. Giger, the guy that designed the monster. And they did an interview with him in a Sunday paper, and they said the man the man who paints monsters in the dark and lives with a house full of skeletons. And there was all these atmospheric pictures and everything. And they completely give the game away of Alien, what happens to John Hurt. They actually they completely blow it. And the other thing I wasn't too keen on was the soundtrack, which are two kind of excitable, kind of synthy and kind of very 80s and a little bit of it reminded me a little bit of Flash Gordon. That sort of but it wasn't Queen. But no, it was good. It was good. And
can't be easy filming in those caves because they were real caves.
There was cameras. There was people falling over and hurting themselves. I'm amazed they didn't do that in real life. I think if they ever got Belinda May to a convention, I think they ought to ask her about that, because that was, it's almost a shame that it was the sort of the pulpy part of the story, kind of. If it had been a just slightly more involved story, that suddenly they realised they couldn't actually communicate with the monsters because they were being killed off too quickly by them, and so Belinda May, quick, suddenly be psychic.
For the sounds of it, the Italian cinema going experience is a lot more sort of people going and chatting to their friends and only half watching what's going on anyway. Whether that's true, I don't know.
And in all fairness, that's how Shakespeare was supposed to be watched. It wasn't supposed to be analysed line by line like endless professors have done of yore. It's supposed to, there was plenty of silly bits in serious stuff, so you can pobble off and grab something to eat whilst and not lose the plot.
I'm not sure William Shakespeare would have written the script for Alien 2 any better, though. I'll stick with the
Is this the Alien I see before me?
Yeah. So cliche.
Tentacle toward my hand.
It's so cliched. Shakespeare is a cliche of himself. If he was still writing that in 1980, I'd have been, I've done that one before, mate. Yeah. Try something new.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad I've seen it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Hello again, listeners. Cuthbert here. Before we return to Nick and Paul, we pause to share with you another clip from Sutton Park from episode 2000, recorded back in spring 1998. We'll probably have another one towards the end of the show too. Anyway, enjoy now. Speak to you again soon! !
Meanwhile, in Sutton Park. So, here we are again. Not that I ever came here much before anyway, I suppose. Jay, do you remember the way? Do you remember where we should go now?
I remember where to go. I remember. It's not been that long. Come on, this way. We've wasted so much time. Come on. And then you mustn't get split up, alright? Blimey. I haven't been here for a long time, but I will remember which way to go. Hey, Hampton! Hampton, look at this! Hampton!
So what, Jay? It's an umbrella.
It's not just an umbrella, look, it's got to be one of the backups. It must be here nearby. Oh!
Blimey. Do you get the feeling we're being watched?
No, I don't. Just come on.
All right. Come. Form yourself. Spectres of the past.
Yeah. Hello.
Form yourself. Spectres of the past. Hello? Jay? Is that you? No stick monsters. Not anymore. Form yourself as images of deception. Clomity, Tremaine. Yes, phantoms of the past. One of Backov's hellhounds, no doubt.
Uncle John!
Alright, come on, Owen, don't wander off. Alright, now be careful, lad. Alright, come on.
I wish Jay was here.
What are you saying?
I just wish Jay was here.
What do you want him here for?
So that he can walk as slow as I can.
Come on, lad. Stop whining. Give me it. Ooh, ow!
Please don't hurt me.
What? Oh, are we on again? Yeah. Yes.
Has the earthquake stopped?
Yes, it was a bit shaky, wasn't it? Lost my balance a few times. Still trying to gain my coordination slightly.
Where's Basil? Is he gone?
Well, he probably got left behind, his corpse.
Don't chop me,
somewhere.
please don't chop me back.
He must be around here somewhere. Oh dear.
Everything's changed.
It's sort of... I don't remember this.
Sutton Park.
Yes, I do remember this. It's a bit more green than I remember. Some of it must have overlapped slightly. Oh yes, the dead man.
The earth has moved.
Was this not where we had a dead person once?
What?
Who was it? Who was it?
Phil.
Anderson. All coming back to me.
Oh, flashback.
No,
I do remember
had
it.
Them.
I do remember it.
Now we've already had them, and in all likelihood, let's be honest, when you edit this later, you're not going to bother, are you? So stop it.
Might do.
I doubt it very much indeed.
I might prove you
So
wrong.
Chandler, I've got the axe. I can axe whoever I like from the series. I have the power of the controller. But don't worry, I'm not going to take you apart just yet. No, I'm going to have fun with you, Chandler. Yes, you have plagued me down the ages for far too long. And now we have returned once again to the old throne itself. Sutton Park.
Oh.
Complete. Slightly adjusted in places, but it's all here.
Alright, Paul! There you are! Paul!
John, stay back! It's back! Oh.
Back.
Paul! Paul!
Stay back!
Who is that? Others have come with you. I shall soon put pay to them. I want to know.
Back off!
Chandler here. I want to be
Owen.
alone to face his fate. Yes!
No! Don't you try anything.
Hold still. Who are you anyway?
Oh, John, have we not met?
Probably I forget.
Get out of it.
Bugger. Doesn't work on him for some reason. Have you got special powers?
Well, I am. I know the vampires tried to change me into them once when I was...
And they failed?
I had bad blood. They couldn't turn me into it.
More like good blood. You can't seem to be killed by evil in some way. You have good blood, whatever that is.
The controller will try something.
Hold still. It's just an experiment, you understand?
Oh!
That'll do.
Uncle!
Oh, another one.
Uncle!
Hello. Little boy.
Keep away from him!
Oi! That'll teach you. No!
Thank you.
Don't you meddle with us again.
Back off! Keep away from him! You keep away!
The bloody thing's out of control. It's flying around everywhere. It's gone like a boomerang. Where is it?
What? The top of the axe handle?
Yes, I chucked it. No, it's spinning around out of control.
Come down here, John, no, and he won't hurt you again.
Where is
I'll
it?
hurt him. Oh, blimey. John. Oh dear. What have you done?
Shall I fill? Oh.
What's going on? Won't work. Oh.
Doesn't work. Never mind. Ah, of course. All my old compatriots are here. All the little devils and claw creatures. All the creatures of the night. They do dwell here, Chandler. And I shall now leave you to your fate.
What?
Goodbye, Chandler.
Where are you going?
I do not care.
Where are you going on to?
Bye-bye. Bye.
Where's he going? I don't know.
Hey,
Blimey.
back off! Back off, where are you going?
He's gone. What's to stop us just leaving, John? What's to stop us from just going back? You don't know, Paul. Where are the others? Jay and Hampton and everybody. I don't wish to speak with them. Have you met Owen? You have, haven't you? Have you seen him?
Have I met? I can't remember. Everything's been going. My memory's been scrambled. Have I met Barlow?
No, I'm Owen. Barlow's twin brother.
I think I remember Barlow. He
died.
Oh God, yes. Yes, well, we don't want to talk about that. It seems to be all little Joey's fault anyway.
Well, I'm not sure. How can Jay's fault?
According to him, he was the one. He was the one who first met Barlow.
Oh, yes, I think so. Everything's all very scrambled.
Well, I'm not here to talk about that anyway. It's gone by in the past. But I need not to associate with that little fellow any longer.
This is all such a terrible mess, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I do remember Barlow. I recognised it. I thought it was Barlow to start with, but I don't. Some of my memories have obviously come back since. Oh! Just look!
The axe head. It's come to land.
Yeah, and backup's gone off.
You got the other half now.
Yeah. A little good it'll do. Hey. Sutton Herald. So we really are in the park. Come on. Let's get out of here. Let's move on. Pull back off tent up again. Come on.
Hello again. We're about to start our TV watching evening. We're still waiting for our special guest to arrive, but we have another special guest who wasn't here before. We have Ali's here. Yay! Back from London.
Fresh from the flea market.
Yeah. And having loads of selfies.
You've met Sarah Moyles from Doctors. You met Lisa Bauman from Doctor Who.
Who phoned you?
Who phoned me. Sue Pollard from Heidi Hi. And
Michael Ball.
Film and TV.
Michael Ball.
Michael Ball, yeah.
Christopher Biggins.
We've got a video of him drunk falling on his bum.
And
it's on YouTube.
And Bill Patterson from TV on the Screen. But anyway, yes, that's what she's been doing whilst we've been putting the world to rights.
Yes, whilst we've been watching the films. So I'm going to start with my choice, which is Doomwatch from 1971.
Just 71.
Yeah, it's called The Islanders. Doomwatch is a show that not every episode exists. It's, how would you describe it, Nick? Because you're more the fan than I am.
What the actual concept?
No, yeah, Doomwatch. How would you describe it?
Well, it's a bit ahead of its time, really, because it's a series about a government team that looks into the dangers of certain scientific developments going wrong, but also looks at the way science can perhaps not be can sort of muck things up a bit as well as provide good stuff. And it was immensely popular in the 70s. This is episode 3, series 2, by which time Jean Trent, who's actually a personal friend of ours, was just about to start as a regular in the very next story. And this is one concerning a culture clash in Prison Islands.
People from an island coming to live in the mainland and not coping.
And it's got George A. Cooper, who was for a long time the caretaker in Grange Hill.
I don't really remember it necessarily, so I thought I'd pick it. So let's watch it, and I'll talk about it at the end. So we just watched Doomwatch The Islanders from 1971, which I didn't remember seeing. But I'm glad I picked that one because it was quite an interesting idea. A lot of these shows from that sort of era are quite sort of, you have to sort of concentrate because it's very scripty, isn't it? It's not lots of action. You have to kind of, you can't look away and you have to kind of pay attention.
I think that's one of the reasons I like the show is because not only does it have a sort of ominous thing, but it is wordy, and I like words. I like language, and I like.
And we've got a village that is sort of a ghost village on Salisbury Plain because they had to evacuate, and they never went back.
And it's funny you should say that, but the previous story, Invasion, was based on the Imber village. It was based on that very thing. So even there's two stories back to back that deal with evacuation from an established home due to pollution. So yeah, it's and written by Louis Marks, who wrote a number of Doctor Who's.
Was that one? Because I picked that randomly from reading synopsises. Is that one that? How do you rate that one compared to other ones?
I have to admit, I find them all good, but actually, that's probably one of my least favourites. I would say I like ones with a bit more edge and a bit more science and sort of drama. But I mean, it's good. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Louis Marks. But I would. There's some really good. I like George Waring as the ruthless bun producing manager. That's a good sort of comment on. And I always like watching the Doom Watches with Ali, who has a strong trade union background.
Oh yeah, I like the comments, like which was very evident back then. The union minimum.
Yeah.
We don't know if they're any good.
Yes. And the union comes into Doom Watch quite a lot. There's an episode called Public Enemy, which is very union orientated in terms of not showing one side is good or bad, but sort of the unions are involved in the sort of.
I thought they could have made more of an effort to when there was the choice of them. Going back to if they went back to the island, then it was polluted, and but they weren't really at home in a normal world. I thought they could have offered to sort of rehouse them on a small island, like somewhere up in Scotland or one of the Channel Islands, one of the smaller Channel Islands. They could have found some.
One can imagine the government being that apathetic, though. Even now, 51 years on after that transmission, you could just imagine Boris dawdling on that kind of issue.
But that was a bit of a change of pace after the films, but a good one. Unfortunately, we've swapped one guest for another. We've got a new guest. Our old guest couldn't make it, and that was going to be Andy, who's been on the show before, but he'll be back another time. But we've got Ali, so we are very pleased to ask her for her choice of episodes. And what have you selected, Ali?
Spy.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
Until name dropping here, Robert Lindsay sent all his cast-offs through the post, and we ended up with it. So we gave it a spin, and we found we actually liked it.
It's very funny and very well done.
Yeah.
And it stars an actor called Darren Boyd, who we've since seen in Stan Lee's Lucky Man. And
he was also in the documentary about the poisonings in Salisbury.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Police officers.
And watching all those together, you realise he's actually quite a versatile actor. There's some amusing characters. One to watch out is playing the ex-wife in it is Dolly Wells, daughter of the famous British comedian or comic writer John Wells, who worked a lot with all the classics basically.
When does it date from?
2000 and I have a feeling the we'll see. It's on the end, but I think the first series was 2011 or 12, and the second series was either 2012 or 2013. Neither of us saw it when it went out, and I think by now we're getting the cast-offs we're getting, or the series we're getting into, are actually from other channels completely. They weren't actually terrestrial channels that they went out on. So I think this was a Sky, was it?
Yeah, I think it was Sky.
Sky.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, that's
so we're going to
that is
the first episode. Is that right?
First episode, yes. We thought we'd show you the first episode.
Okay. Well, we'll watch that and we'll talk about it when we come back.
Yes.
Right, so we've watched the first episode of Spy, and I hadn't seen that before, and it was enjoyable. I probably would, the thing is, there was some confusion as to whether it was on Channel 4 or Sky, but it definitely had a Sky thing, so perhaps it was I don't know.
I think it was... I don't know. I mean, I know diddly squat about the way TV's made these days, but I think it might have been Channel 4 for Sky.
Yeah.
Or Sky. Or
something.
It wouldn't be the other way around, would it?
Because the production company was sort of a production company I recognise from like even BBC Two comedy shows and stuff. So,
yeah.
I even feel like Have I Got News for You is was it a hat trick production?
I believe it is. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I definitely probably asked to see some further episodes of it in the future. I recognise quite a few of the faces.
The thing is,
shows.
We were, as Ali said, it was a cast-off, and neither of us seen it, and I think we kind of
gave it a whirl because we'd been given it.
Also, I think we did all the Sisters and Smiths and everything first because we thought, I'm on TV, let's kick this down the road a little bit. And when we saw it, we were blown away by it. It's such a lovely, funny... The thing I love, characters that are well done and cast firing on all cylinders. And it is extremely well cast.
And the thing is, Robert
everyone does their bit.
Yeah, Robert actually sent a message saying, "Don't binge Sky before you've watched it. Let me know what you think."
It's a deliciously different sort of part for Robert Lindsay.
He does look a bit like Alan Sugar, I said when I watched it.
The child actor is excellent. He just plays this amazingly supercilious 9-year-old.
There's some good physical comedy as well when they're doing the exam and the tables everything's falling. Quite difficult to do that well.
There's his fellow friend in the IT shop is like very angry, very frank and contemptuous. I think everybody knows somebody a little bit like that. And purely from the Totty point of view, Daisy Wells is a paradox because she looks exactly like her father, but she's still hot. How is this possible?
I think I've drunk enough wine that the friend from the IT, he's not usually my usual type, but I
was going to say he's a bit skinny.
Yeah, but I'm kind of changing I've been changing my taste recently. So,
although he's got a nice, even though he's skinny, it's a very athletic physique.
Yes,
but it is skinny.
Yeah,
Rebecca Stanton, who was in a David Tennant Doctor Who.
Yeah, I feel like
she's kind of.
I feel like I know of something else.
She's got quite a cute little squashy face.
Because when she was in Doctor Who, I already knew her from something else. Whether she was in some other comedy show.
When she was in Doctor Who, she looked like a young Annette Badland.
Yeah.
A lovely, vibrant series, and I very much like Tom Goodman Hill in it as playing the guy that his wife has left for, and he's so buddy and almost kind of homo pally with him. It's an interesting little new different dynamic.
He's also the headmaster of the school.
Total bromance. That's the word I'm looking for, bromance. And he reminds us of a certain friend of ours who's emigrated to America that is very cuddly and pally and sort of.
Yeah, well, we'll have to watch some more of that next time I come over. Nick, it's your turn.
It is. I'm going to go for. Obviously, only one episode, and I only own one episode, but it was a very good. I think it was 6 or 7 part children's drama series called Quest of Eagles, which I'm impatiently waiting for it to come out on DVD. It was. I can't remember. I think it's Times made it, and in 1979, I saw it when it was first televised, and it's got a wonderful cast. We'd seen earlier today. We were watching Melinda Main in the Aliens film, and this is her daddy playing a villainous character, and lots of one of my favourite actors ever, Vladek Sheybal, who's been baddies in many things, and he's actually playing, just for a change, he's actually playing a good part. But I just thought it was a superbly written spy kind of drama series, and I'm gutted I've only got one episode. I think your dad said he watched or showed somebody some other episodes.
Yeah.
We've sort of the things we've watched today have had, some of them have had things in common with each other, not necessarily everything, but the 2 films had beach scenes in one more than other, and we the Doomwatch is sort of ministry. Spy was ministry, and you're sort of saying that your choice is sort of
this links Aliens because of the main.
Oh, and
there's a bit obscure, but Robert Urquhart's in this as the headmaster, and he was in the Doomwatch episode same season as that's a little bit too disparate.
Anyway, let's get watching it, and let's see what we think. So, Nick, remind us, what was the title of that?
That's Quest of Eagles, episode 1, Sailor. It's a series I saw when it was first televised in 1979, and in those days you got a serial. The children's TV got serials, loads of serials, and I was kind of keen to follow them all. And I remember this one very well because it was very grown up. It's almost like a spy story because there's lots of intrigue and things going back to the war, and the performances. I got this episode from one of the look back DVDs that they released of one episode of a children's series each disc, and I was delighted to see this again because I enjoyed it very much when it first.
How many episodes was it?
I think it was 7. It actually, because it started in November and it finished up just before Christmas. And you got people that you couldn't dream of, classy actors you couldn't even dream of seeing on children's TV, like Vladek Sheybal, Michael Williams,
Judi Dench's
late husband, and Robert Urquhart. I like the seriousness it's kind of and the credibility it's taken with, and
it was a bit. I always, when I was a child, I was always a bit sort of. If there were too many kids in the programme, that was the last thing I wanted to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's the last thing any kid wants to watch.
As soon as I could, I jumped from the kiddie books to like reading Agatha Christie and Stephen King, and I remember when Neighbours became very popular, when that started. I wasn't the Scott and Charlene stuff I was that interested in. Yeah. I wanted to know what Mrs. Mangle was up to, or like who was, some backstabbing, or somebody who was. Somebody pretending to be a priest who was actually a serial killer. Or I think I was interested in the adult stories, not the love plots. Who wants to watch that? But yeah, this did seem very. So things like Children of the Stones, where there's a child, but he's basically an adult, and
he's a very intelligent child.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of science and astrology and just a lot of very, very spooky stuff.
And the child in this was, a year or two away from the university age.
Absolutely. Really. So they weren't kids, were they?
No.
They were young adults. And it actually it deals with some quite adult stuff that you wouldn't necessarily. And there's no apologist character in it. There's no kind of person to explain the plot. There's kind of. I just love it. And it's a source of irritation to me that I've only got one episode because they haven't released the whole series yet. It's just the one on that.
You know, I've had discs, a sampler discs of TV series. I have one of soap operas, and I picked a couple of episodes to talk about on Man the Archives, and there was definitely one. Also, I think there was one with Stephanie Beacham working in a newspaper, and I would have quite happily bought a few discs of that and watched it.
But it's no secret that I absolutely adore spy stories, and this is, although there are no actual spies in it, it's got sort of
it feels like there could
lots
be.
of backstabbing characters from the war and kind of intrigue and traitors
and the boy, for want of a better word, the boy's father dying and saying something in Polish as he was dying, which might be some clue to some of what the other characters are interested in.
I mean, my one consolation is that I did actually get the book shortly after it was transmitted, and I've actually got the novelisation in the other room.
Yeah.
In fact, probably in a previous episode, I probably mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a standout one for me. And come on, network, hurry then, because that went out about 12. You know that I bought that disc about 12, 13 years ago, and I'd love to see it again.
A tease. Well, the last thing we're going to talk about is as we didn't have Andy here, we're going to default to where we are in Blake 7 with our watch of Blake 7. So it's season 4. Did you say Traitor?
Season 4, episode 3. I think last time we were again we were doing lots of different episodes of things. Or did we watch a film last time? I can't remember. Oh no, that's right. We did Power episode 2, but we did Scream as well.
Yeah, the new Scream I showed you, and then we also did some Tales of the Unexpected.
We did, that's right. That's why we didn't do more episodes of this. But Traitor, I like. I'm pretty well. There isn't a lot of things by Robert Holmes I don't like, and this is a nice one that. It's their first one back in action with the Federation since Series 4, and again it's got a nice cast. It's got some action. It's got I like Traitor. Traitor. Some people think season 4 hasn't really got started by the time Traitor's there, but I know you can't go far wrong with Bob.
Well, we'll have a listen. We'll talk about it after we watched it.
Yeah.
So we've just watched Blake Traitor. I had quite a lot of wine, so I probably didn't take it in as much as I should have done. But you tell us about it, Nick.
You've seen this episode.
I didn't remember that much about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
it's in 25 years ago in TV Zone. Was it TV Zone? I can't remember now. No, Cult TV. There's a series of magazines that, and it said in that it described Traitor as being a boys' war story with real kick. And that is the best description of Traitor I've ever heard. It is a boys' war story with real kick.
There are lots of characters with quite high foreheads.
Yeah, the slicked back hair. It was basically the return of the Federation after the end of Terminal and the beginning of Series 4. Series 4 basically only in existence because some silly old fool forgot to mention, it was said, the new series Blake 7, even though there's nothing in place. So in the circumstances, I think they did a bloody good job. And Traitor, Chris Boucher, who was Robert Holmes's protege, actually, and I've read Robert Holmes's book, topped him up. Basically, Doctor Who and Bergerac were keeping him going If it wasn't for those two, nobody else was employing him, which is a criminal waste of talent. But basically, I have a lot of... I know the fan opinion is that it didn't really get going until about Assassin or Headhunter Series 4. I disagree. I think Rescue's a cracking story. Power's quite fun. It's got some lovely witty moments, and Traitor is a boys' war story with kick. It's a great rom.
It's got Sutherland.
It's got traitors. It's got battles.
It's got a man with really sparkly black costume.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean the although the rebels are nice and rugged and sort of the Federation officers are very camp. You also got, of note, Malcolm Stoddard, who was in the Assassination Run, a marvellous Jack Gearson spy thriller with Mary Tam in it. He was also a regular in Emmerdale in the 90s, I think, or noughties. And John Quentin, who, for my money, was the best Bertie Wooster ever. He's the one with the 45. He did a series of Croft original adverts with Michael Dennison as Jeeves, and they were the best Jeeves and Wooster ever. And I challenge anyone to dispute that.
So there's a man with red spectacles. I had some red spectacles like that in Sutton Park.
Sutton Park,
yeah. When I was playing one of my, like an evil twin of mine or something.
That's right. Edgar Rafer. We recently watched an episode of Vandervalk from Series 1, which was 9 years before this, and the same man playing a Dutch violinist, and you wouldn't think it was the same man. You know, it's a real character performance he gives. Interesting that they reintroduced Sutherland. Dramatic. I have mixed feelings about that. I still think it's physically impossible she could have survived the explosion, liberation from Terminal. The whole point of Terminal is Mars.
Are they calling her Commander Slade at this point?
Theo, because since she's been away, obviously it took her a long time to get back to civilization. She was deposed, and everybody around her was killed, and so she's having to take this Sleer thing, which she's kind of it's a bugbear to her. Jackie Pearce, who plays Sutherland, utterly hated that. I think it's an interesting device. I think I would have liked new series. I would have liked to have seen them move on with a strong villain. I think you can have strong villains, but you still need to kind of move the series on. So personally, I was against bringing back Sutherland back in '81. Strictly speaking, I still am, but it works in the story, and Bob does it a lot of style. The battle scenes were quite nicely. I'm also a big fan of Dudley Simpson, who's the other unsung Doctor Who name, and I think he rises.
He did the music, didn't he?
Yeah, he rises to the challenge really nicely, especially with the battle scenes and the rebels. They really has a lot of adrenaline there. So I love Traitor. I think it's a great episode.
We had quite. We ended up covering some really... I don't know if I realised we were going to cover so many obscure things. Yeah. We've had a relatively obscure Australian eco horror film. We've had an Italian alien ripoff. We've had Doomwatch, which isn't the most famous program anymore, except for people who know about it. We've had
for a lot of people. Doomwatch will always be Robert Powell going up in smoke.
That's cool.
And my cousins still think even though the complete episode of that episode is missing, there's still the last 2 minutes of it on the beginning of series 2, and she can't watch it because it's still up. Even though she watched the original end of series 1 in 1970. It's still the death of the character still upsets her so much she can't watch it, and I find that's the power of how powerful Doomwatch was at the time.
And then we had Spy, then we had the Eagle thing. What's it called?
Quest of Eagles.
And then we had Blake Seven. So we've really got very obscure this episode, listeners.
And that is why I love having you around, and I love doing the podcast, and I love it's nice to do what we did 30 odd years ago. It's just watch tons of diverse, and I revel in that word, diverse telly, and just so many of my. I listen to my colleagues, and they talk about binge watching things on a box set. I'm not talking about physical box set. They're talking about stuff on
Netflix.
Yeah, and I think I don't envy them the slightest. My boss actually said something that cut a little bit. My boss is like 16 years older than me, very much more of a millennium teenager. But she said, about episodic, and she said, is that necessary in this day and age? Let me tell you, Ali and I wouldn't have it any other way. We like having an episode a week of things, even Doctor Who, which is only... the 70s Doctor Who is only 25 minutes. We're watching an episode a week.
I was saying to my mum, because she's behind on Doctor Who and she's watching the Flux series. In a way, the Flux series has been my favourite of all of the new Doctor Who, because it has cliffhangers every week, and it's something you could... and it's a bit different from a typical 6-part story, because each episode is slightly different, but it is the nearest probably they've ever been to old Who, where they had to have a cliffhanger.
I've not seen Flux yet. I will get around to watching it.
Yeah, I think it's probably...
I don't envy binge watching at all. Occasionally, if we were doing Rules of Engagement, which is the American sitcom we like, we will watch one episode back to back. But apart from that, we don't remotely binge. Or the only other thing is if there's extras on the Blu-rays, we'll binge watch extras. But that's about it, really. We like little bits of. We like the fact we tune into Talking Pictures each Sunday, and we're watching Secret Army for the first time. I remember it being on, but I don't remember. I saw a clip last Sunday of an individual episode, which I remember, which they set fire to a plague victim, and that stands in my mind because I have a memory of my brother-in-law. Is when my niece was a baby, and my brother-in-law and my sister going out to the pub, and his best man, who used to be his best man, came in and looking at that scene and making light of it and saying, "Oh, that went down a blazing success," and his girlfriend kind of cringing at it. And that is my only memory of watching Secret Army, and we're watching it, the whole series, from beginning to end for the first time.
Yeah.
Episode one a week, and that is fine by us.
I have been binging my sons and daughters box set, but there's a lot to... There's
an awful lot of episodes
that I haven't seen, and I need to see them before.
If you watch one a week, you'd be an old man by the time that is the exception to the rule. Also, UFO. We're starting rewatching UFO on Monday nights, because that's our specials nights. We watch one episode of it, and UFO is my choice. And it's a bit of a, I suppose because I like the show anyway, and I was a fan when I was a kid. But it's a bit of a closure for me, because I bought that particular box set 8 years ago when Ali was taken into hospital with a suspected stroke. And she was in hospital. I was on my own for 5 weeks, so she was in hospital for 5 weeks. And I actually woke up one morning and I thought, I really fancy rewatching UFO. And I went down to bought the box set. And I remember drinking beer and watching UFO of a night, and working my way through the box set. And I think she had got out by box set 2, because there's like 2 distinct blocks to... And I kind of want to watch the first box set with her now, because I didn't get to do so then. So.
I think with UFO it gets better as it goes on. It's a shame that it finished when it did.
I totally agree. Episodes like Time Lash, which is immeasurably better than Doctor Who Time Lash, it's a fascinating time paradox, and Patrick Allen always gave good value for money, and I like Ed Bishop. I always have done.
Hunting? Yes? Why do I have to carry you? My feet hurt. Oh, blimey. Oh. Hello? 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 Hey! It's them! It's Cromarty! And Tremaine.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. It's so good to see you. Hello.
Can't be them. It can't be them, can it? Can't be teaching that machine.
Tremaine's up in Manchester. It's a trick. We mustn't go close to them. Don't worry. What are you worried about? Come over here. It's us.
Yes, it is so good to see you. Oh, we have been searching.
Stay back.
Yeah, stay back.
You can't be here. What do you mean?
Yes, what do you mean? You can't be here. You're... Well, no, Mr. Tremaine gave me the cure. I am better now. He has made me a cure.
That is correct, yes. I got a cure, yes, whilst I was up there.
Oh, is that true? Is that true? No, don't leave him. I can sense he's evil. No, I can sense they're evil. I deny you.
You're not real.
Get away. Get away.
No, you cannot deny us. We are here. We are here.
No, stay away. You're not real. You're not real. You're not real.
No. Do not deny.
No. You're gone. Hunting, you're gone.
I know. Come on, let's get on. There's a controller, whoever can make them come up. Who knows what he might do next?
Oh, blimey. Oh.
Yes, I shall watch Chandler later, dying in agony. I have much to do first. And besides which, I was a little bit perplexed about what that Basil said. Not really back of, as if there was anyone else who could be me, well, apart from Lee Freeman trying to pretend to be me. Stupid ingrate. Wait a minute. Not unless he has learnt about the translation guide. Or maybe he just knows because he is some... No. It cannot be that. No, I refuse to believe that someone else knows about the truth about the von Helsing dynasty. No. I must be the only one. No one must ever learn of the secret that I keep. And it's not about tomatoes either. I must away. Yeah. I have plans to formulate, and that involves the old map. Yes, if I can... Oh, bugger, I've got gloves on, haven't I? There we go. Yes. Yes. The old hunting ground itself, Sutton Park. A little bit changed, I'm afraid, but yes, close enough to use as the ultimate trap in Chandler's demise. Oh yes, I must get the other lads together. I must tell them the time is nigh to hunt Chandler down.
So, Sutton Park. Where is Crispin? Where is... Where... Hagar. There you are. I thought we'd lost you. Haven't seen you for some moments. What is it? What is it? Why are you looking at me like that? I wish to speak with you. There are things I wish to ask you. You told Paul. You told Paul about Lee Freeman, but you also told him something else. Something he has not told me. What was it? No, Hagar! No, come back! Don't go down, no! Hang on, no! Come back! Come back! Come back! Yorick! Yorick! Oh, Crispin. Just taking her 5 minutes break out, you know, from a bit of building and stuff. Gotta let the guys get to work, yeah.
There you are.
Oh, hello.
Where have you been?
I've been just having a break.
Is everything going according to plan?
Oh yeah, fine. Everything, the lost city being built, lovely, yeah.
Very good indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, seeing everything is going according to plan and there are no hiccups,
Yeah.
are there?
No.
As yet?
No.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would like you to do something for me.
Yeah.
I'm afraid there has been a slight problem with Chandler. Some of his horrible little voodoo friends have turned up.
All right.
Can you pick them off one by one and just leave Chandler to me?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, oi guys, come on, we've got some other work to do. Yeah, come on.
Good man.
Right, Clive. Sorry. Yes, what is it? Well, we're here, in the park. What are we going to do now? Clive?
It's 12:01 p.m. It's 12:01 p.m.
You know which way to go? You know where we'll find Paul? How? How can you know that?
It's 12:01 p.m.
You can sense him. Still very strange. Yes, Clive. Very strange. But we'll follow you, if that's what you wish. Yeah. Come on, then. Anthony, you got to sleep. What? Oh, you woke me up. You bugger. Don't say that, that's rude. Oh, I could serve in my strength. You little sod. Don't sweet. Oh, it's not. We've got to stick together, be careful. I know, I'm being careful. Oh, blimey. What? Oh. A fissure in the earth, where Sutton Park joins Nonsuch Park, joins Camberley, all three, all together, and Basil, trapped far below, dead.
Excuse me, Uncle John here. I've just come to pick Paul up. I think he's had far too much to drink. It's time he went to bed.
Oh, rubbish. He's good for another one. You have one yourself, haven't you?
Uncle John, you sound like you've had a few. I might have had a few. I was down a dust hole this evening.
Oh.
Yes, I haven't been for a long time. Actually, can I just have a lie down on this chaise longue you got?
You go ahead, mate. And as I say,
I'll take Paul home later.
We'll give you a shake in the morning.
Oh, yes.
Plenty to eat for breakfast.
We'll just stay. We'll stay at the Uncle John. You missed some good TV.
Yeah.
We've been having wine here. You could have joined us. Oh, this is fast. Too late now. We're just going to have a little lie down.
You do that, mate.
Have a little lie down. We probably should stop recording now anyway.
Addictive chaise longue, that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's pretty good.
We had a good night.
Oh, and one last thing. I've probably mentioned this, but Ace is coming back to Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yes. I worked some extra hours at work to save up, but I actually bought all the current standard release new Blu-ray box sets, and we're currently I shall be binge watching the extras on the Sylvester's last season, which of course Sophie was in, so I'm well prepared for Sophie's return. There's plenty to look forward to. We've got an all new lineup, and I very much look forward to the next time you come round, and I very much hope we're going to do something like this again, because there is so many few mates now that would just come round and watch random things from our collection.
Oh, well, we'll definitely do it. Whether we record it, it's not a matter. We might record it, but we'll definitely do it.
It's absolutely magic to do it, and I have enjoyed this evening immensely. I only wish Andy could have joined us.
Yeah, well, at least Ali got a chance to choose something instead.
And she chose wisely. We were going to rewatch Spy anyway at some point. So.
Oh, well, some music, and then we'll come back and say goodbye, listeners. Thank you for joining us. Listeners, that's about all we've got time for. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Yes, so I'm recording this before we've recorded anything else, just in case I forget to record the end later. So I hope the films were good. And wasn't it wonderful that our special guest did or didn't turn up? But he's not here now, or if he was ever here.
I thought his choices were stunning.
Yes, yeah. And so we can't talk about we can't talk about any of it. But I wanted to record the end so that Nick could say goodbye. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I presume it was good, but if it wasn't, then blame him, blame me in another time zone, whatever. Oh dear. Yes. So lots more episodes coming, lots more episodes recorded, and Nick will be back soon. And I'll be back soon, and we'll say goodbye for now. Okay, goodbye for now. Goodbye. I gotta go now. Bye. Gotta go. Bye.
Goodbye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Let's go.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice.
We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
I think that episode worked out quite well, Nick. Even though Andy didn't show up, but that was unfortunate. But
the idea of Ali coming back is a real bonus because she's been very busy. Met some very famous people today.
We didn't expect her.
She got a lift back from Basingstoke. Yeah. And was able to join us. She even joined us for a bit of Aliens.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I knew that was a little bit gory. I was like, I wouldn't necessarily.
I wouldn't necessarily have been comfortable with.
I wasn't sure
sitting her through that, but she's got a strong constitution.
She hadn't been in 5 minutes where the little girl has her face all bloody.
Poor little girl. I still can't work out. It was a horrible sequence. It's a nice, scary one.
Well, she found.
I wasn't quite sure how the little girl was crying when she didn't have a face.
She didn't have any face. She found one of those rock things or whatever. But I'm not quite sure how she was managing to cry.
There seem to be two different types of alien. I think it was fun, but it was a bit lazy in terms of its plotting. But it was good. I've seen it. Linda May was very nice.
Yeah, I don't know when I've seen it before whether I had clicked who that was or whether I just thought, that face looks familiar.
And of course, what an evening! We've sat and watched her daddy be villainous in Quest of Eagles. So we've had the main woman and the main man.
The main act.
It's been a thoroughly entertaining day. And you and I kind of, for the first few hours, we just sat and talked and put the worlds to rights because we haven't at the moment we haven't got any Sutton Park to adapt. I think there was you haven't found any dodgy ones at the moment, and you haven't found the missing ones yet. But we've kind of reached a plateau, so we're kind of relaxing and having.
We were just nattering away, listeners, but we didn't record it because it was just voice talk listeners. You can't hear everything.
Vox Pops here. There is two bits of exciting news we've got of talking of projects. We have a book together called a script book called A Woman for All Reasons, which is a project that Paul initially initialised to get me writing, and I'm glad somebody was out there caring about me wanting to write. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, and it's published. And Martin Holmes, who will be familiar to you for the not only Shy Yeti podcast, but Shy Life podcast, should I say, but round the archives in his own Vision on Sound. He's done the cover for us very nicely, and big surprise, big delight, and it's out soon. And I've also have another book, because of course a lot of these things have been in the pipeline for a long time, but of course because of COVID and ill health, not from a lot of people, Life After, the series that Paul and I worked on, and with Joe Bunsell in the 90s, there's a season. I was asked I did a book on Joe and Paul and I did books on the complete lot of the series, and on the back of that, Alan Hayes asked me to write a novelisation from one story from each series. Now, the first one I did was for the Magnet Editor, which I created back in '77, did a child's game, and it emerged into a bigger series. And I finished that in '87. I wrote a novelisation of one of the final season stories, which was published 2 years ago. And the second series, Life After, which Paul worked on and contributed 5 stories to. I did. There's a series 4 episode story, 6-part story, which I chose to adapt because it's my own personal favourite from my own. I don't necessarily consider it the best overall story, but from the best of my crop, I've novelised, and that was my lockdown project. In 2020, I was busily working away on it. I thoroughly enjoyed both books, and it's been retitled from Stranger Lives Again to Song of the Dreamers by its publisher, because he's trying to emulate the old Doctor Who Target novelisations where they changed the title. So he's changed it. If I'm candid, I'm not 100% happy with the change of title. I prefer my own original, but hey. I remember you, Paul, you enjoying the story back in 91, and it is actually the last story before you take over and do yours. So in actual fact, at the end of the story, there is a lead into your story. They go to Burton Bassett, which is for their third honeymoon, the lead character and his wife. For the third honeymoon, I think you wrote it the second honeymoon, but there was a second honeymoon in 1983. So we made it the third honeymoon, and I set that up to go into your story. So there's a lot of continuity points.
Which one does it lead into?
Eye of the Beholder. It follows on from my story. It was an interesting season because we had one character, long-standing character, left, and there was another similar standing character that we brought in from an earlier Magnet Editor story and promoted. And he had a major storyline where he's looking for his daughter in America because his lover died and said that they'd had a kid together. And Joe initiated that storyline, took it to a point, and then I did the second story, and I made things worse and worse and worse for him. And he's on the edge, and you see him on the edge in the book. He's getting more and more obsessed with this idea, and he becomes unreliable and can't do his work until he goes to America. We send him to America, and then, of course, during the course of that, his mention in America are your 2 stories, which stand independently. And then after Clamber, which was your second story, he goes off to America, and Joe does his epic story, which resolves the whole storyline.
We have to get Joe back on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Now you've got a Blu-ray player up and working. I'll dig out some obscure Italian horror movies, which Joe may or may not know, but Nick won't have seen.
I mean,
probably.
I'm still a novice as far as Italian horror films go. He is much more likely to have heard of them and seen them than me. He's pretty knowledgeable. His horror films are pretty well his favourite genre, and he's quite well read on them as well. It was a colourful season that I've chosen to novelise a story from, and I've tried to weave as much, because there's continuity bits about his stories, his previous stories, that lead into that, and there's also continuity points about your story, which my story leads from. Your story leads from my story. So it's all because I know I'll probably never get this chance again to novelise them. I really enjoyed the challenge and bringing everything to life, and particularly a black character that is regular. Who never really got a proper storyline to herself. I've taken it and run with it and kind of and she's a lovable character. I wish we'd used her more. And I've really enjoyed the challenge. And Alan's, as we speak, is preparing the cover. But two exciting books to do, two projects I really, really enjoyed. And it'd be nice to have something of both our authorship again, because I think Prisoner's Son is probably the only one that we've exclusively, apart from this, that we've exclusively authored ourselves. So I even Old Graham Wrinkly, which we did before Prisoner in the Sun, was still, Robin worked on it, Harry worked on it, Lee worked on it. So although I contributed 2 chapters, I'd love to read that again as well. Have you got the book somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere. I was going to type it up at one point.
Yeah. I'll do it for you if you like. I really enjoyed that one. That was 30 years ago. This was 30 years ago.
I'll have a look for it. I know where it should be.
Wow, that was a good episode.
Was that 2 hours? It was at least 4 hours. How long was this podcast? I don't know. It was at least 5 hours.
Oh, kitty, kitty, dealy. Purr, kitty, kitty, kitty. Oh, I love dealy.
544.
544. This is just the weirdest thing I've ever heard.